Hello, everyone. Hope that your weekend has gone well. I know you've been busy, I'm sure some of you, with finishing up your blog. I know some of you got it in before the weekend. So I had a chance to hang out a little bit with my son this weekend when I wasn't checking your discussion board threads and answering questions. And so he's recovering from his appendectomy, and so he's doing well, and so we had a chance to catch the final game of the season, football season, for Cedar Hill, and so they had a fantastic game. It was a thriller, went right down to the wire, and literally with no time left on the clock, the wide receiver caught the pass in the end zone, and so there was pandemonium in the Cedar Hill stands as Cedar Hill won that very close game, and now they're getting ready to go into the playoffs. And so I also had a chance this afternoon. I was watching the news, and the BBC was highlighting the 25th anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall, and Angela Merkel and other dignitaries were there in Germany commemorating that momentous occasion. And so there's lots also that's happening here in our country, and in fact on Tuesday we're going to be celebrating our veterans, and so I want to take this time now to personally thank all of the men and women who served, the men and women in the two sections who were actually serving in the military or have served, and also thanking your families, because I recognize that as you serve, so too are your families as they make sacrifices to support your efforts to be a part of the armed services. And so I don't take for granted what you do, and in fact it's greatly appreciated, and I'm reminded of that not only here at home but also as I travel, of the freedoms that we enjoy in this country, and how our military services play an important part in that. And so I know that week 2 discussion is wrapping up on the boards, and I want to highlight a few areas of discussion that took place in section 1. And there was some conversation around the importance of feedback loops being built into the change implementation process, such that we have the ability to make refinements or edits or changes midstream, and how really important that is when we take a look at the implementation process. There was also some conversation around how information is shared in your organizations, and how we realize that there are realities where there is some limitation in terms of information that can be shared for a variety of important reasons. But when information does not get shared, particularly information that is critical to decision making, then those who are in the know will be making informed decisions, and those who do not have access or who do not have that information might actually make choices that are incongruent with the actual direction of the organization, because they don't have that. And so what are the consequences of that? What are the ramifications? And so as we turn our attention to week 3, we'll have a chance to continue building upon the learning that's already happened in our first 2 weeks of class by taking a look at organizational development models that help to drive or to facilitate change in our organizations. And Burke presents some particular strategies and theories around that, and he also has a particular approach in terms of chapter 8 and how that content is actually structured. We'll also be taking a look at chapter 13 as well, and while we've been talking about leadership, we'll be talking about specifically in this chapter in a couple of areas. One area of discussion, there are obviously others around this delineation between leadership and management, and then a big picture conversation around transformational leadership. And so as I talked to you last week during the video, I talked about the importance of your learning within context, and so I want to reinforce that this week with 2 videos. The first one is from one of my favorite movies of all time. Morgan Freeman is playing Nelson Mandela, who we recently lost, and President Mandela is having a meeting in his offices there with the captain of the rugby team, and they're having this conversation around leadership and the changes that are happening in the country, and quite frankly how the rugby team is going to play a part in that. And then I have a second video that was recorded at MIT. Al Mulcahy, the former chairman and CEO of Xerox Corp, is actually talking there about really a continuous impact that happened in her organization around change, and how when she was really early on in her career as the CEO, newly minted and taking the helm, with how she really dealt with this discontinuity to help to ensure not only the short-term viability of Xerox, but also to position the company for the future. And so I trust that you'll find the value in those two video clips, again, as we look at our learning with a bent towards organizational realities. And so we also have our first scholarly article of the term, and I know you love those scholarly articles, a little tongue-in-cheek there, but there really is a lot of value to them. And so I want to give you some guidance in terms of how I actually approach reading those articles. And so one of the things that I do is I pay attention to when the article was published, and so I take a look at that. It gives me context for my understanding. I'll also look for and ask myself the question, what's the purpose? I mean, why was this article written? What is the focus of the research? And the author will typically answer that question pretty early on in terms of the journal submission. And then as I'm reading, I'm highlighting, I'm making notes, because I want to capture the key insights, the key perspectives, the key theories or concepts that are actually being presented. And then I get to the question of, all right, what are the findings? What are the results? What are the implications of this research as espoused by the author? And then finally I get to really a question where I'm trying to internalize the research, and I ask myself, all right, how does this apply to my condition, to my experience, to my set of circumstances, right? What are the conditions that would make the viewpoints expressed by the author applicable to my situation? And then I also ask myself, all right, are there limitations of this author's research? So is it looking at a particular set of circumstances? Maybe is it a particular industry? And so maybe there are some limitations there because of the nuances or the uniqueness of my business, or the uniqueness of the strategy or the markets within which we compete, whatever that delineating factor or factors might be. And so I hope that that's helpful to you as you approach your scholarly reading, not only in this class but also in your subsequent classes as well. And so just an update for you, I want to let you know that I will be grading your first discussion board. I'll have that feedback to you by midweek, and then I will grade your blogs and have that completed by Sunday, which will be the 16th, or Monday the 17th at the latest. And so you probably noticed that I have a new backdrop. Yeah, I'm in my office on campus, and so I was having a few technical difficulties, so I decided to come into the office to do some work that I needed to do today. So have a wonderful week, and I look forward to seeing you on the boards. Take care. Bye-bye.